My name is Katura, and this is my story. I came to Chief Amachi because I wanted to connect with my ancestors as well as develop my spirituality.
So one of the first things that I see is that you already have a type of spiritual sight. It describes you as the mother of water, and that's the type of inheritance that you have because it talks about your star or the spiritual part of you, and that spiritual part of you is right next to the mother of water. You have the gift already. You just need to make sure that you connect to that part of the gift that you have that exists inside of water. So there are herbs that we're going to collect, and that's going to help you to see better. Here. I'm just going to add it to these. Going? shrines and spiritual tools, in actuality, are communication devices. They're transmitters and they're receivers, very similar to a cell phone or your cable box. Many people are confused about why people such as myself, why we sit in front of these, what they're calling inanimate objects, so they call these fetishes. The truth is that they're communication devices. The same way you have a cell phone that's made out of plastic or metals, that's made out of circuitry that gives you the ability to tap into cellular signals. These invisible signals or frequencies that are moving through the atmosphere. Well, the shrines and spiritual tools that you see, they also do the same thing. These are communication devices. They give you the ability to tap into the frequencies of the Wunona, the gods of our ancestors that exist in nature. They give you the ability to tap into frequencies where the minds and mentalities that exist in nature, where they are. And then just like a telephone or just like a television, those spiritual tools are able to even transmit images and sounds into the mind of those that are connected to them. So it's much different than what people think. A person that was not educated would look at a person who's putting a piece of plastic up to their ear and would they say, wow, those people, they worship this plastic box that they put up to their ear. Or they worship this plastic box called the television that they sit in front of. But that's not really what's happening. What's happening is that these televisions or these cell phones, they're tapping into television frequencies, cellular frequencies, and then they're projecting images and sounds through these devices that are made out of metal and plastic. So I always ask people, if that is the case, so why is it strange that other inanimate objects that are made of the earth cannot do the same thing? Because cell phones, television, all this circuitry that are able to capture these invisible waves that are moving through the atmosphere, they're made of the same components of the earth. They're made of these different minerals and so forth. So this is what these shrines are also made of. They're made of the different components, different roots, sticks, rocks, different skins, things that come from the environment, things that you may think that are inanimate, but they're able to tap into these frequencies. And when you're tapped into these particular frequencies, they project or they transmit images and sounds the same way that a cell phone does. So the same way that you're able to listen to a piece of plastic called a telephone, and you're able to hear someone's voice, or you're able to speak to someone that's on the other side of the planet. These spiritual tools are also transmitters. They're also receivers that give you the ability to communicate with the Wu Nona, the gods of our ancestors that exist in nature. What you're going to do is you're going to take this lighter and you're going to light that candle. And when you light that candle, you're going to ask that the spirits open your spiritual eyes and give you spiritual sight, that no matter where you travel, you should have spiritual sight and you should be able to see, even in the dark. Go ahead.
For every candle I'm saying that?
For that one, you're saying that.
Just for this one. Am I saying it out loud?
Yes. Go ahead and light it. Start speaking.
I'm asking Spirit to open my eyesight physically and spiritually, that wherever I may go, east, west, north, or south, that I may
have spiritual sight, and have spiritual wisdom.
And have spiritual wisdom.
You're going to put it down on the ground. Stick it in the ground. In the ground. So it stands. And then as you light that red one, you're going to say that the spirit should remove you from any danger that you're talking.
Asking Spirit to remove me from any obstacle or any danger that I may face in my life.
That no matter where you travel, the north, the east, the south, and the west.
That no matter where I travel, east, west, north, or south.
That they should remove you from any danger.
From any danger.
And that danger will never meet you.
And that danger will never meet me.
So you're going to light that incense. And as you light the incense, you're going to talk about the spirits opening your spiritual eyes and giving you spiritual sight.
I'm asking for Spirit to open my eyes and give me spiritual sight.
Keep on talking.
That no matter where I go, east, west, north, or south,
that you should have spiritual sight.
I will have spiritual sight.
And wisdom.
And wisdom.
You're going to put it down in the ground. Pick up more incense. Pick up another one.
That Spirit will remove every obstacle from my life, seen and unseen. Well, not just financially, but physically and spiritually.
Her into a dream warrior, that wherever Keturah, Patrice, Tinker goes, the north, the east, the south, and the west, that she should be a dream warrior, that she should have spiritual sight, that you should give her visions in her dreams and in her sleep, and that she'll know for sure that something spiritual is following her and helping her. That you guys go and collect some of your children, that wherever you guys are in the world, go and collect some of your children and bring them to Keturah, Patrice, Tinker, Keturah, Patrice, Tinker, Keturah, Patrice, Tinker, that you let Keturah, Patrice, Tinker, that you let her see something powerful with her own eyes. She'll know for sure that she's doing something spiritual. She'll know for sure that she's being saved by the Wu No Nam, the gods of her ancestors that exist in nature. That wherever she travels, she should have strength. You guys should build her up, give her strength. You guys should build her up and give her wisdom. You guys should build her up and give her her 4 eyes, her spiritual sight, and her spiritual wisdom. That any danger that tries to meet her, that you should remove her from that danger. Anybody that thinks or wishes to do bad or evil against her, you should defeat what they are doing. Nothing that they're trying to do against her will ever have success. Nothing that her enemies try to do against her will ever work. Wherever she goes, she shall have safety, happiness, prosperity, strength, and beauty, good health and wisdom, and spiritual sight, but most importantly, wisdom. You should come to her in her dreams and give her spiritual sight. You should give, say your full name.
Keturah, Patrice, Tinker.
Keturah, Patrice, Tinker. But you should give her spiritual sight. You should give her spiritual wisdom. Spiritual wisdom. That wherever she goes, the north, the east, the south, and the west, you should make her a dream warrior. You should give her the ability to see, to have visions in her sleep that will give her guidance and will give her wisdom. Keturah, Patrice, Tinker. Wherever she travels, north, the east, the south, and the west, you should give her spiritual sight. You should turn her to a dream warrior. You should turn her to a dream warrior so that she has visions in her sleep. To her and give her her 4 eyes, her second eyes, her spiritual eyes. So, Miss Miller has gone in front of the shrine. She's made the phone call. So we've done all the proper procedures in order to call the Wunonam. Now they'll begin to contact her. She'll actually get a chance to see the reality of African spirit.
When I sat in front of the shrine, I felt an abundance of love and a really big hug, like a welcome back hug from a family member that you haven't seen in a long time. And at the same time, I felt a lot of power and like an earthquake shattering power. And even though I know there wasn't an earthquake taking place, I could feel it somehow. And in my mind, I could see like a vision like of bones, dry bones, connecting themselves together and forming an army. I was thinking, okay, something's about to go down. Like, this is real. This is business. This is, war. Okay, the dream I had last night, I was followed by this little girl, and I was trying to get away from her, and I ran into a classroom, and I told the teacher that this girl was following me, and the little girl, she came into the classroom, and the teacher reprimanded her, and so she apologized for following me, and then she asked me when I was going to wear my bracelet again, this exact bracelet that Chief Amachi gave me in front of the shrine. And she asked me when I was going to wear the bracelet again, and I asked her why, and she said, so I can know how to find you. It was strange that she mentioned the bracelet because I didn't have the bracelet on, and how does she know about this bracelet? To me, that means that Spirit, this is kind of an instrument of protection, and Spirit wants me to keep wearing this. Spirits are real. While I was in front of the shrine, Chief Amachi gave me a pomade and some herbs to burn, and I would use them every morning and every night. So I would use them after my shower. I would put on the pomade, and then I would burn the herbs that Chief Amachi gave me. And while I was burning the herbs that Chief Amachi gave me, I would make sure that it, got on me. I would kind of fan them towards me and just repeat things that I wanted, Spirit to help me with, opening my spiritual eyesight and to block every obstacle and to, give me favor wherever I go, east, west, north, and south. I did notice that after I had put it on, I started to feel somewhat really sleepy, drowsy, like, like if you took sleeping pills or something, and that's not normally how I feel. And so it was like I heard a voice saying, okay, it's time for you to go to bed now so I could do my work. And so I was like, okay. Okay, my first dream, this gentleman in a business suit with a briefcase was walking alongside of the road, and he reprimanded me, saying that I had some type of homework that I should be doing, and I shouldn't be eating now, I could eat later. And so I just rushed back inside the house. Before I could get inside the house, there was a big hole in the road. It wasn't deep, but it was a big hole, and I went alongside it so I wouldn't fall in. And then I saw this, before I could get inside my grandaunt's house, there was this man dressed in African attire sitting on a brown horse, and I couldn't see his face. because his head was hung down. Like, I don't know if you ever watched The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, where Clint Eastwood would be sitting on the horse with his head down, and you know I heard that you know that song, and I was like, who in the world is this guy on this horse? What is he doing here? So I went inside and I closed the wooden doors and I make sure that they were latched so he couldn't get in. He came to the door and we could see his face, and he was a few shades darker than me. His eyes were piercing blue. His hair was low cut, but in the front it was almost like a little fade in the front, but it was gold like, and it looked like flames of fire. And my cousin was shocked because she never saw a dark-skinned person with blue eyes, and I was just telling her, you know, it happens, you know. And I went into the back room to get my cousin to come and deal with this guy because I didn't know who he was. And my grand aunt, who was deceased, she was there, but she didn't say anything. And by the time it was my cousin and I came back out front for this guy who was on the horse, he had already somehow let himself in. He was just walking around, you know, like real pompous with his head up in the air like, That was the first dream. Later that same morning, I had another dream. In this dream, I was inside my house, my old house, and there was this spiritual woman, this spiritual African woman was inside there speaking with the same guy I saw in the previous dream that had the briefcase with the business suit on. And she was speaking to him about her, how she communicates with spirit. And I remember seeing a sheetrock wall that was, most of it was done, but there was a small portion that wasn't done, and it was in the shape of like a person's face or a spirit. And it had like the cowrie shells where the eyes should be and where the mouth should be. And she said that, you know, that her spirits are behind the wall and that they see everything. And she was telling him how she communicates with her spirit and with the spirit. And she also showed him like it's some type of tool. It looked like a huge top, but it didn't have like the nail in the middle. Instead, it was just a huge top minus the nail, but it had a lot of thick cords wrapped around it. And she was telling him about that, and he was looking at it and like throwing it over his head and like, I don't know, playing a game or something. And then he had something in his hand that looked like a mop, but he was telling us about that as well. All these dreams that I'm humming, like I've never had dreams like these ever.
So, Miss Miller, tell me a little bit about the man that you saw on the horse.
Okay.
If you can describe him to me.
Okay, he was a few shades darker than me. He wore something over his head, as well as a typical African garment that was flared at the bottom, and it was broad stripes, and he was on a really big brown horse.
Big brown horse. Were the stripes something similar to like this, like the stripes?
Yes.
Okay. So I want to tell you, tell me a little bit about the man that you saw with the briefcase though, as well.
He was dressed in a typical business, suit with a black briefcase, and he was clean cut, with a really low haircut.
So look, I want to explain something to you. When you're in front of the shrine and you're lighting the candles, and what was the main thing that you were talking about having? Or one of the things that I was talking about in front of the shrine as far as your development spiritually. Do you remember? One of the things I was talking about is about giving you 4 eyes, giving you spiritual sight. Now, when you look at that man that was on the horse, the first thing that I'll tell you is that the horse is a symbol of a chieftaincy in the Dagomas. So all chiefs, when you see them locally, you always see them sitting on horses. But not just that, I want you to recognize the eyes of the man. They were blue.
They were piercing blue.
They were piercing blue. These are the spirits coming to you to give you a message. But it's not just any spirit. These are what we call alazini. Alazini, in English, it would translate to mean genie. This was one of the genies from the Tembo shrine, or the shrine that you were in front of. The reason why his eyes were that way is because he wanted you to focus on them. Because I was talking about giving you a second pair of eyes.
They definitely stood out.
They stood out.
Yeah.
You see? They wanted them to stand out because they wanted to let you know, is that man that was on the horse, he's one of the people that's going to come to help give you spiritual sight. This is the reason why they kept you focusing on the eyes. And then even one of your family members in a dream was saying, his eyes, his eyes, his eyes. Because he's there to give you spiritual sight. That's the first thing. Now, tell me a little bit about the woman in the very next dream that you had. Tell me something about this woman and then the image that you saw on the wall.
Okay. She was basically in plain clothing. Nothing stood out to me. Her face looked like someone I've seen before, but I know I haven't seen her before. She looked like she could pass for someone in my family. And the face on the sheetrock wall was shaped in the face of a person, or what you would call a spirit, and it had these cowrie shells where the eyes would be and where the mouth would be.
So this woman, and she was also explaining about how her spirits see and how this and this. That's one of the things I heard you saying. You were talking about how she talked about how her spirits can see everything.
Right. She was telling this to the gentleman who was in the same guy that was in the other dream, the briefcase.
So that man with the briefcase, that was one of your ancestors.
Oh.
That was one of your ancestors, and that the man that you saw, like I told you, that was the first genie that came to talk to you, the first alazini. The woman is a part of the same family. She's also alazini, a genie, but she's coming to show you how you're going to have a type of spiritual sight and how you're going to be able to see. Those were the spirits from the shrine coming to explain to you and show you how you're going to have spiritual sight. And those are the spirits that are going to support you. So believe it or not, even though you may think that those are dreams, those are more like visitations. Those are the spirits coming and giving you information. And they also had some of your ancestors there. If you see some of your family members that were deceased,
right,
that were there.
I saw my grandaunt.
The reason why the spirits do that is because that woman that you saw that was deceased, what was your relationship with her?
She was my grandaunt on my mother's side.
She was your well, how was your relationship with her?
We had a really good relationship. She practically raised my mother.
Raised your mother. So one of the things I want to explain to you is that the genie, the alazini, they will bring along the spirit of one of your family members to let you know about the situation, to let you know that it's a good situation,
okay,
to give you an idea that this is something that's comfortable and it's not something that's a threat.
Right,
so
to be alarmed.
Right, so they'll bring one of the spirits of your ancestors there with you and sit in there, even though they're not saying anything, but they'll be there, and it's something to make you comfortable. Do you understand? So
right,
they'll actually collect their spirit, bring them around so that they're there with you in that moment. They want to let you know that everything is okay and that you're comfortable. And that same feeling, that same relationship that you had with that relative, they're saying that they're going to have with you. That's why they brought her along.
Okay, that's great.
So it's something very powerful. This means that they're really going to help you. So this is the first. It's the introduction aspect of it, but the spirits have come to meet you. If you used the pomade and burned the herbs and you didn't have these type of dreams, then I would know that the spirits weren't the genie, they're not going to follow you. They're not going to help to give you spiritual sight. But because of this man with the eyes that came, it lets me know. And then you also saw the spirit on the wall and they had a cowrie shell with the eyes. These are all signs letting you know that you're about to have spiritual sight.
I'm about to go and pay a friend of mine a visit. I haven't seen in a long time, and she's curious to know about the progress that I've made so far with Chief Amachi, so I'm really looking forward to it. Hey, how you doing? Hey girl, good to see you. What I needed help with. One of the things I did ask for help with was with my writing. Okay. So shortly after that, I submitted a screenplay for coverage. And, I was hopeful, about the results that I was gotten, but I didn't know that would have been so quick, that it happened so quick, and the results, I got really good coverage. I just couldn't believe it.
That's good.
I know.
So tell me about this encounter that you had.
Well, one of the encounters that I did have was actually, I didn't, like, probably about 2 days, I didn't have any dreams. And I thought that, something was wrong. I thought that I actually did something. And, I was, apologizing to my ancestors and everything. And, I went outside to do my libations. And I asked Spirit to, let me see a hawk, if, I'm okay, if I'm still, I didn't do anything to offend Spirit or my ancestors. And I just heard this quiet, still voice said, do your libations first and then you see the hawk. And so I started doing the libations, and like in less than a minute, this hawk flew by and landed on a tree branch right in front of my face, and it was so close to me, and it just looked me straight in the eye like to say, I see you. This beautiful hawk appeared. I don't know if you can see the tree behind me, but this beautiful hawk appeared, and it was just so beautiful. It was nothing short of magical. And when I saw the hawk, I became overwhelmed, because it was just so real. I lost it. I was like waterworks. I was just bawling in tears. I could not believe it. I've never seen an animal that close to me, ever.
Sounds like you've had a really good experience, that he's really helped you a lot.
Yes, I am so glad that I actually, I would say that my ancestors actually led me to Chief Amachi, so I'm so glad for this opportunity.
Well, you need to keep me posted and let me know how it continues for you.
Will do.
Well, you want to get something to eat?
Girl, I'm so hungry. My stomach is biting my liver.
All right.